LA's newest soul food restaurant is getting spectacular reviews. Great place with amazing food. The Sunday champagne brunch is fabulous. I saw the place on IG. We tried it for lunch. We were blown away by the food and the service. The restaurant has an inviting atmosphere and a dynamic vibe. Over the years, Lionel has catered most major Black events in Los Angeles, including all of our KBLA Talk 1580 gatherings. But now he has his own spot, Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine, and you need to check it out at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles. Oxtails, baked or fried chicken, meatloaf, turkey chops, pork chops, catfish, short ribs, and all the fixins. Collard greens, mac and cheese, yams, red beans, black-eyed peas, and more. And of course, hot water cornbread, satisfying drinks, and delicious desserts. Lionel's is a great place for brunch, lunch, or dinner. If it's good enough for us, it's good enough for you, because we've got your black. So, head on over to Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles and tell Lionel you heard about it on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's time to set our intentions, set our self-care, and find our focus. This is Mindful Mondays with Sahara Ali on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's time to set the intentions of Mindful Monday, and we're joined by Sahara Ali, who is the founder of SAJI Yoga. She is a spiritual architect who utilizes life coaching tools, spiritual techniques, yoga, and meditation to help her clients build their own best life. Sahara Ali, good morning.
Morning, KBLA family, and welcome to Mindful Mondays, where we get our minds right for the week by setting positive intentions to honor our mind and body through meditation, prayer, and affirmation as we step unapologetically into our week, being on purpose with our power, wisdom, truth, and faith. We're being blessed this week with the celestial gift of the new moon in Cancer conjunct Mercury and Jupiter on Wednesday. This transit enhances feminine manifestation, highlighting all things we're attached to, holding us back from growth and manifestation of our highest good. This new moon is a setup, yielding blessings, gifts, and second chances, breaking bad habits, and reframing expectations. It's inviting us to be introspective and to have emotional renewal. It's a time to focus on nurturing connections, setting heartfelt intentions, and exploring the depths of intuition for personal growth. The call to action is to take a journey into the world behind our eyes, to soften our hearts, releasing ego, to hear our soul's wisdom, unapologetically embracing innate truth, calling for empowerment and self-love. And going forward, let's lean into our Mindful Monday meditation. Pause for a moment right here, right now, and take a breath. Take a breath, anchoring your feet to the earth, connecting to the root of your purpose, aligning with your soul's task. Breathe. Just breathe and be here now. Be in this moment, open to the wisdom of the Most High. Breathe, relax, open to the power of divine wholeness as we plant new seeds of transformation. Center yourself, ground yourself. Breathe. You can close your eyes or just listen, but just be here now, connected to the wholeness, opening your heart and mind. Take the biggest breath you've had all morning. And as you exhale, mindfully connect to your center. Connecting to your center, relax and let go. Just breathe and be here now. Calming your mind, calming your spirit, opening your heart. Take a big breath, and as you are breathing in, listen to your inner voice. Listen to divine guidance. And as you exhale, allow yourself to be on purpose in this moment, feeling the truth of your heart, connecting to your heartbeat and your breath, leaning into divine love. Just breathe in clarity, and with each exhale, allow yourself to relax and let go. Let the breath be the key to wholeness, Let your exhales be the connection to your angels and your ancestors. Open yourself to surrender and let go of the past as you breathe. Let go of your fears as you breathe. Let go of stagnation and give yourself permission to open to your soul's fulfillment. Relax and open. Breathe. Relax. And now inhale, ready to embrace divine guidance. Ready to embrace divine guidance as you breathe, attracting miracles to unfold in your life with grace. Fill your heart, feel your relaxation, be present, and give yourself permission to breathe in your dreams, to breathe in your happiness, to allow yourself to be open as you exhale to the manifestation of abundance. Just breathe and give yourself permission to be bold and ready to live your best life, honoring change with grace. Relax. Anchor yourself. Just breathe and let go. Let go and let God, promising yourself to be unapologetic, trusting the power of being on purpose. Feel that. Feel the power. Connect to the power of being on purpose. And take the biggest breath that you've had all morning. Hold that breath. Connect with your truth. Connect with guidance. And as you slowly exhale, listen with an open heart. Feel the power of inner wisdom and clarity. Now just breathe regular and surrender. Surrender fear, surrender shame, surrender anger. Relax and be here now, connected to surrendering and letting go. Quieting the mind, quieting the body. And now relax and believe all things are in your favor. And quiet your mind and just listen with an open heart and spirit to our Mindful Monday affirmation for the week. Today, I embrace the wisdom of my soul, celebrating the power of my highest good with grace. Today, I embrace the wisdom of my soul, celebrating the power of my highest good with grace. Sit with that. Relax and breathe, and bring your awareness back to present time, giving yourself permission to embrace the wisdom of your soul, to celebrate the power of your highest good with grace. Thank you for allowing me to support you with your Mindful Monday affirmation and meditation. Thank you to have a Smiley and 1580 KBLA family. Have an unapologetic, mindfully blessed New Moon Cancer Week. And remember to stay in the light.
Sahara, thank you so much. You having any sound baths or events coming up?
I have a special for all KBLA listeners to come into the office to be recalibrated for this summer solstice that we're experiencing, which we had over the weekend. So it's a time for renewal and a time for recalibration. And you can reach my assistant, Elise, at 213-628-9783 and let her know that you are a KBLA listener and that you heard about the sound healing special going on in my office for the summer for all the KBLA family.
As we are on this first Monday, right, of the summer solstice, and things are heating up in our communities, right? In the last minute we got, Sahara, what last advice? Folks should obviously get grounded, connect with you, recalibrate, but what else can they take with them from today?
Well, we have this powerful new moon where the sun and Mercury and Jupiter will all be in Cancer, which is a time for us to look at our feelings and to transmute our feelings from fear to faith to power. And so it's a real dynamic time for us to give ourselves permission to have emotional management and emotional discernment and focus on what we want, not what we don't want, but to stand for the truth, stand for the wholeness that exists in all of us, and find your power, find your voice, and release the fear and release judgment, but be bold and ready to stand for what's right and open our hearts, because we are a collective, we are a family, and we need to stand as a family as we witness changes and allow ourselves to transcend the dynamics that are in front of us that make us feel disempowered. We are our brother's keeper, but we must keep ourselves first.
We keep us safe. Sahara Ali, thank you so much. I look forward to your every Monday, Mindful Mondays. They really help ground me. When we come forward, we'll be joined by Dr. Ramisha Separad, who is a leading voice in cybersecurity and Middle East affairs, from digital threats to human rights. She breaks down the real-world impact of online surveillance, political repression, and she's going to connect us to things that we should be paying attention to. Only on KBLA Talk 1580, we got your black.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-550-9651.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-550-9651. That's 800-550-9651.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Yep, you're getting back to First Things First. I'm not Dominique DiPrima. I'm James Farr. I'm sitting in this morning for Dominique as she is making her sojourn to the continent with the whole delegation of folks. You got me and Odell. Miles is actually out traveling for his second trip to the continent with Dominique and the delegation. Phone lines are open this morning, 800-920-1580. That's 1-800-920-1580. And we got a whole lot to continue to talk about with everything that is happening, not only right here in the city of Los Angeles, county of Los Angeles, the state of California, but also the world seems to be changing, and we see what's happening. Looks like war may be imminent. Conflict is certainly present, and we're fortunate this morning to have Dr. Ramesh Separad. As I told you, she's a cyber security expert and teaches Middle Eastern studies at the University of Baltimore. And just seems like the world gets so much smaller. Doctor, are you there with us this morning?
Yes, good morning. It's good to be with you.
Absolutely. You are up and you are ready to go. How? First of all, let me just check in with you. How are you doing right now? And I mean, we are seeing what's happening as of Saturday night when we learned that our armed forces at the direction of President Trump has dropped 30-pound bombs in Iran. How are you doing? How is your family doing? How are you even processing what's happening?
And, thank you for asking that. So obviously, just like any other Iranians living in exile, I am intensely watching the news. I am intensely trying to see if I am able to connect with family members back home. Obviously, as you know, the Iranian regime has cut off the access to internet. They actually have also made even connection through landline very, very difficult for everyone. So for me, it's been, on the personal side, I've been trying to keep calm and watch the news and understand. But on the more serious and policy side of the house, I think what's really happening inside Iran is a lot more important than the missiles falling and the regional tension as they are rising. I think the global attention is really fixed on that confrontation right now, and they're missing the main point, which is the Iranian people's fight with this regime in power. The struggle against the Islamic Republic is not happening in the skies right now. It's happening in the streets of Iran. Mm-hmm. If you look at the nationwide uprisings, more than 7 nationwide uprisings where people got onto the streets shouting, down with the dictators, down with the supreme leader, and down with theocracy or the autocratic regime of the Shah, the dictatorship of the Shah of the past. It really shows and it really explains how the Iranian people are very, very clear on what they don't want and very clear on what they are fighting for, which is a non-nuclear secular republic in Iran. So I think we really have to start paying more and more attention to this, because the world is now thinking about what happens after the fall of this regime. And we have to be. Yes, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, I was coughing, but you. So I think for some of us who are just catching up, right, with what's happening, you mentioned that the regime has cut off internet access and they're restricting information. Seems like going in and out, right? But
yes,
help us understand. For some of us don't understand the conflict, and without, I don't want to go like 30, 40 years back, right? But I'm trying to understand. Some may think that all Iranians are in support of this regime. Like, help us understand the difference between the two factions, if you will.
Yeah, I would say to really unpack this issue for your listeners, we have to first start by separating the people of Iran from the regime. People of Iran have rejected this regime for more than 4 decades. There is a long resistance movement that has been fighting against the regime for more than 4 decades. Unfortunately, the public is known about this less because of the fact that of the misinformation, of the demonization, of the fact that the Iranian regime has been really trying to control the message over the years. So I think that would be the first thing we need to do, is to separate the people of Iran from this regime. And then the second thing I would say is, what do people of Iran want? And I think the easiest way to understand that is to really reach back into even the last couple of years as we look at the uprisings, as the protests really send a message out. Initially, everyone was really gravitating towards this women life freedom message, but now the message is women resistance freedom. So I think for us to really be able to understand what is happening on the ground is to just start paying attention to the message that's coming from the Iranian people who really want democracy. Iranian people who have paid the price. Just this past weekend, I participated in a massive photo exhibition in D.C., where in front of the Capitol we had people, pictures of the people, men, women, and children who were killed by this regime. And what was fascinating, honestly, James, about this exhibition is it also had pictures of political prisoners that were killed by the previous regime, the Shah, which in my mind tells you the people of Iran have experienced two different dictatorships. Mm-hmm. They experienced the Pahlavi dictatorship with the military dictatorship through his secret police of Savak, who then later trained the secret police of mullahs, and they evolved the means of torture, execution, and repression after the 1979 revolution. Mm-hmm. But this exhibition brought both of those messages together to really show at least the people in Washington, D.C., as they were walking by the exhibition, to see the faces of those Iranians who stood up to theocracy and Pahlavi's dictatorship and said no. And the price that they paid with their lives is the manifestation of their message is what we see happening in the streets of Iran today. So my main message, honestly, for any listeners this morning is, yes, everyone is now consumed by the regional tension, consumed by the missile attacks, but really let's put the nuclear threat of Iran in the context of a bigger issue, which is the rejection of the Iranian people of this regime threat, whether it's a nuclear threat or the democracy threat or the repression, and the message of freedom that the Iranian people want us to hear. We really need to pay attention to that. Even beyond the internet cutoff or the landline cutoff, Iranian people are finding ways of sending messages out. And James, honestly, I see that even with my own family trying to send messages to us to say, make sure the world hears this. At nights, right now, as the bombs are falling, people get on their top roof to shout, down with the supreme leader, long live liberty. And Iranian regime, instead of opening up the communication and telling people to take shelter, they're shutting it down. They're trying to control the news, and they're arresting people. They're threatening political prisoners with execution. That tells you how weak and how afraid this regime is, first and foremost of its people, than of the bombs that are being dropped on Iran.
I mean, it is. I'm hearing everything you're saying, and I am taking it all in. And I, we look at what's happening here in the States, right, and the leadership that we have, and many are against the action being taken. Like, that's not our fight. That's how some believe, right? And now I'm hearing you say, because we're not getting this through mainstream media, right? We're not hearing that the Iranian people, and I'm going to have to breathe deep and say this, actually support a decision that President Donald Trump made. Is that what I'm hearing? I don't want to put those words in your mouth, but I think that's what I heard you say.
What I'm saying is the Iranian people have been saying down with this regime even before the bombs and the missiles were being shot at the Iranian regime. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. And I think that is the real conflict. I think that is the real message. One other thing I would add is, as I was saying earlier, is a lot of people are saying, okay, this is not our fight, and let them figure it out. But if you go back to the House Resolution 166, and which is actually supported by bipartisan majority of the U.S. Congress, in that resolution, members of Congress from both parties are agreeing that it is the Iranian people's rights to overthrow this regime. One other thing that doesn't come through the media, the mainstream media, is that American people have to understand there are Iranian resistance units on the ground right now that are networked, that are organized, that are structured, have an agenda, and they are really fighting this regime day in and day out by risking their lives. Mm-hmm. And that resistance unit is being recognized in the House resolution, and we need to recognize their rights to fight the IRGC in the streets of Tehran. If the world community give itself permission to fight this brutal regime on its nuclear threat, then the world community should also recognize the Iranians' fight against the terrorist IRGC and this brutal regime.
But
that is what we need to pay attention to.
But some are afraid because, the Iranian government has said indefinitely that some form, and my words, not theirs, but some form of retaliation or in answering to the invitation to the conflict is definitely afoot, right? They have to. And so my concern is, when we look at how they can hurt American citizens, how they can hurt others, this regime, isn't that something that we all should be concerned about, that we're now in a conflict? And we understand from a humanistic standpoint what our brothers and sisters in Iran are facing, but I'm speaking as an American, right? Oh God, I said that out loud. But I'm speaking about I'm concerned about us, right? We've seen terrorist attacks and retaliation. Is that something that we should be concerned about, as they're talking about on other outlets?
One thing I can assure you is the last thing the Iranian people want is to put other citizens of the world at risk. Okay. Because of their fight against this regime.
Okay.
But unfortunately, we are where we are because we've had years of appeasement policy, years of appeasing this very brutal regime. This regime did not just wake up yesterday, started killing people. This regime started killing people in June of 1981, 2 years after the revolution, as there were 500,000 people were protesting on June 21st, 1981, in the streets of Tehran, in support of Iran's main political party of the time, the People's Mujahideen, and this regime opened fire on them. So it's not like the world community did not know how brutal this regime is. But the appeasement that has been in place and has been a de facto policy, unfortunately by both Democratic and Republican administrations over the last several decades, has brought us to this. That appeasement policy did not halt the Iranian regime and their drive towards nuclear weapons. It didn't stop them from building missiles and striking Israeli cities.
Well, we're hard on moving this conversation forward, and when we come forward, we're going to continue it with Dr. Rashima, and I'm still working to pronounce it correctly. Shatter. Did I get it right?
Yes. Go ahead.
We'll come forward, and I want to talk about her expertise in cybersecurity. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A gunman was shot and killed Sunday at Cross Point Community Church in Wayne, Michigan. Police say he wore a tactical vest and opened fire before being stopped by a parishioner and security. Here's Wayne Police Chief Ryan Strong.
We are grateful for the heroic actions of the church's staff members, who undoubtedly saved many lives and prevented a large-scale mass shooting.
One staff member was injured but is expected to recover. Tragedy in Brandon, Mississippi, where black 25-year-old Kiana Jackson was shot and killed at a McDonald's. Police say the shooter, black 27-year-old Jontarius Dampier, then took his own life. Jackson leaves behind 2 young children, ages 5 and 3. And Wendy Williams' ex-husband, Kevin Hunter, has filed a $250 million lawsuit claiming she was abused and exploited under her guardianship. However, those close to the situation are questioning his motives. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Let's go to North Hollywood, 170 North, right at Victory. 2-car crash. One of the cars is blocking the carpool lane. The other one is blocking the 2 left lanes. And one of the cars is overturned as well. So there is a bit of a backup as you approach. Seeing a lot more slowing on the flip side. 170 South is slow between Sherman Way and Barham. Then the Sigler in the Sepulveda Pass does continue. 405 South. All lanes are shut down between Getty Center and Sunset. And traffic is now jammed all the way from Roscoe. Unfortunately, we do not know when they'll be able to clear this out of the way. And then in Diamond Bar 60 East, just before Grand, we do have a 3-car crash up on the right shoulder. A little bit of slowing as you go through.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Whenever the Oklahoma City Thunder faced a challenge in the NBA regular season, the playoffs, or the finals, they rose up and got the job done. OKC played like champions most of the season, and they were on top of their game Sunday night, using a dominant second half to beat the Indiana Pacers 103-91 for their first NBA championship since moving to OKC in 2008. NBA MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was also voted MVP of the finals. SGA led the Thunder with 29 points, 12 assists, and 2 block shots. Indiana had to play most of the game without star point guard Tyrese Halliburton, who suffered an Achilles tendon injury with 4:55 left in the first quarter. There was another major news story in the NBA on Sunday. The Phoenix Suns traded future Hall of Famer Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets, a young team that made it to the Western Conference semifinals this season. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
During this time, it's important for everyone to know your rights. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the U.S. Constitution protects every one of us, regardless of immigration status. The 4th Amendment requires a judicial warrant to search your home. The 5th protects your right to remain silent. And the 6th gives you the right to an attorney. Just remember,
No warrant, no key. My privacy. You don't have to speak. No lawyer inside. Don't say a thing. Yeah, we all got rights.
Hey, we all got rights.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Yep, we are certainly not for everybody, but we are for everybody. You're listening to First Things First on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm James Farr, and I'm sitting in this morning for the Queen, Dominique DePrima. Odell and I are holding it down while Dominique and Miles are off on a pilgrimage to the continent. She'll be back on air, her and Miles, tomorrow, bringing you all of their updates. I can't wait, to just listen. Dominique is just, if you're like me, you're a journalist, reporter, broadcaster. She's that journalist, broadcaster. So I can't wait for her to tell us all about what the trip is about as they travel to the west coast of the continent of Africa. But right now I am joined by Dr. Sarah Fred, and she's a cybersecurity expert and professor of Middle Eastern Studies, and I think, she's helped me better understand just the lens now that I have as I look at this conflict that's happening in the Middle East and Iran and Israel, and now the United States has entered and this conflict with a direct assault, dropping bombs on Iranian nuclear sites. Doctor, you still there with us this morning? Thank you so much.
I'm here, yes.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna need you to put your cybersecurity hat on, right? Because earlier, before we came forward, you told us about the suppression or the outright the Iranian current regime cutting off, communication for folks in and out. But I want to switch gears a little bit because right now we see what's happening locally, right? We see the ICE raids that are happening in Los Angeles, and there's just terror, right? And so that's why I'm trying to process what I'm seeing right here on the streets of Los Angeles versus what's happening thousands of miles away. But, kind of to walk us through the cybersecurity portion, because folks, as they organize, they protest. We saw a report the LAPD was using facial recognition. Like, where are we at now with technology, and how is it helping or hurting us as we're active?
Technology could be an amazing enablement for citizens and who are struggling or who are fighting for social justice, but it could also be used at the same time by autocratic regimes as a weapon of oppression. And what we see in Iran is a case of, oppressive use of cyber tools and cyber technology. And Iran is not the only country who uses technology as a weapon against its citizens. China, Russia, this triangle of the cyber cohort between these autocratic regimes, they've been able to share, whether it's facial recognition or surveillance or installing spyware on people's phones and stealing their contact information and then using it for physical attacks and arrests and surveillance. So this is what we need to really pay attention to, is how do we best allow citizens to have access to technology without fear of autocratic surveillance or attacks. And go ahead.
No, because I was talking with a friend, and because I don't want to indicate one way or the other who the friend was, right? But I was talking with a friend who said that they went to the No Kings protest, and they said that they wore a mask because they were concerned about facial recognition and being pinged at the, or identified. I said, well, my first question is, are you doing anything illegal? They said no. But then my second question to them is, did you take your phone? The answer was, of course I took my phone. And so they didn't want to show their face, but then they have this tracking device in their pocket. How are our phones working against us? And digital devices, how do they work against us in terms of if we think we're being safe and protected? How do they work against us?
I mean, there are definitely bad actors out there that are using a ton of different apps that they deploy or ads that has embedded spyware in them that could potentially be used as a tracking connection or a tracking for tracking mechanisms. But one thing I do want to really make a distinction is we really have to take a step back and say, first of all, democracy is a journey, is not a destination. So as we are trying to figure out how to best understand while we're protecting our citizens here in America against the prevailing digital footprint that our citizens will have, what's assuring to us is the fact that we have rule of law, we have free elections, we have ways of making sure that the citizens' voice are being heard. Or if we speak out, you're not going to have night raid in your house as a citizen and be arrested and hanged in the corner or in the city center the next morning. What we're talking about, the situation of Iran, is technology in the hands of autocratic regime that is using it as a weapon against its citizen because it wants to stay in power. So I really do want to make a distinction between our experience in the West versus the experience of people under regimes like the Iranian regime right now. So
let me back it up to spyware, right? Because I don't know if the delegation, our listeners, can you explain what is spyware and what people should know or how to avoid it, right? Because we get these, scams or phishing things that come through our phones and text messages. What are we seeing? What is that when that comes to us, and what is spyware?
It comes in as a very benign and a friendly message or app or advertisement, and really is meant to entice the user to click on it. And once you click on it, then it would download a code on your mobile device, and potentially, if your mobile device is not protected and is not able to detect, is able to either gain access to your contact information or to your personal information on your device, whether that device is actually your laptop or your mobile. I mean, there are various versions of this. So that's like a simplest way of explaining it. But the spyware, just as it says, is meant to allow an outsider to get access to your private information. And there are a ton of bad actors out there that do this for a living, or hackers that sometimes do this as a way to create a ransom situation so that they will get your information and then come back and say, give me X amount of dollars so I can release that information. So that's the prevalence that's the what we see mostly happening in countries like ours. Mm-hmm. One thing I do want to call your attention to is we also have state-sponsor cyber attacks. An Iranian regime and the terrorist IRGC with their cyber army does that really, really well. They've launched multiple attacks against various countries where they have political differences with, including the country of Albania. And it's interesting because all of their attacks is politically motivated, and they're always looking for a way of really advancing the political agenda against countries that they target. But what we need to do and what we need to understand as citizens is the defense against whether that bad actor is there to get your private information or hold you against a ransom or a state sponsor is that all of us as users need to educate ourselves and really be very clear on how do we maintain our cyber hygiene so that we don't become a target, we don't become a victim of these surveillance and these bad actors. That's what I would leave you with.
We're gonna continue because you going right where I wanted to go, Doctor. Cyber hygiene, and because it's thought that when we are talking, somebody's always listening, and somehow those ads and other things show up in our devices. And like I was just saying, I wanted to go to ABC, and there's an ad. So when we come forward, we're going to continue this conversation about cybersecurity with Dr. Sefared, who is a cyber security executive and professor of Middle Eastern Studies and a host of other things, and she's joining us on First Things First. You're listening to James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580, your ancestors' favorite radio station.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
Every mother deserves a healthy and joyous pregnancy and birth, and every baby deserves to thrive. That's why the Los Angeles County Abundant Birth Project is here. The Abundant Birth Project is a guaranteed income program that provides cash during pregnancy to pregnant individuals at the highest risk of preterm and low birth rate babies. Although program enrollment has closed, our commitment to Black joy and thriving continues. Through tailored services that foster mental well-being and community-based resources, we provide care and support during pregnancy and after the baby is born to help build brighter futures for our families. Join us in celebrating abundant births in LA County. For more information, please visit abundantbirthproject.org. abundantbirthproject.org. Are you ready to play? Then jump into the LA 84 Foundation's free Playdate Block Party, a community celebration for all ages, including live music, dancing, LA's pro sports teams, great local food trucks, plus special giveaways for you to take home. Enjoy an exciting, fun-filled day for the entire family. Join us Saturday, June 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 2141 West Adams Boulevard. To register, go to la84.org. We'll see you Saturday, June 28th at LA 84 Foundation's free Playdate Block Party. It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, you're not getting back with Dominique DiPrima. You're getting back with James Farr, and I'm sitting in for Dominique DiPrima. I didn't even mention I host Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, which airs every Saturday live at 10 a.m. With the replay on Sundays at noon. And we are chronicling for the nation as the show of record the devastating Altadena Eaton Canyon fire, which claimed 19 souls. But this morning we're joined by Dr. Safarad, who is a cybersecurity expert. And she, before we came forward, she kind of, I think she was, which is scary because I had just typed into my phone, Dr. Cyber Hygiene, as I was preparing for today's conversation this morning with you. What is cyber hygiene?
Cyber hygiene is having a strong password and changing your password all the time. Now, sometimes that causes problems with people because they don't know. Sometimes they change the password too many times and they can't even remember it. So there are some password management tools out there that I really encourage people to take advantage of because everybody has multiple login to multiple applications to multiple locations and sites. So that way it will help you with managing your passwords across your digital footprint. So having a strong password, being able to really install the latest patches, getting the latest fixes so that if the system has some holes and gaps from a cybersecurity standpoint, you're able to really get on top of it and protect your devices, and then ultimately educating yourself on not getting phished. So understanding.
And by phish, you mean those unsolicited text messages or emails that, hey, you have a receipt and your account is outstanding, something like that, right? Where they're phishing.
Exactly. Yeah. Check the sender's name. Understand, is this person that you trust or you know before you click on their whatever it is that they're sending you. So it's really, really important to understand how to best detect bad emails or phishing emails. So it's I would say definitely educate and take training. There are a ton of free trainings online that anyone can take advantage of. Our country, actually, our government has a cyber defense agency that puts out a ton of good information. That website is CISA.gov, and they actually have a cyber hygiene services. So people can really look that up, understand how they can sign up for those services, how much it costs, and how much it can help them. So I just think education is the right answer for keeping up with your cyber hygiene and protecting yourself.
Yeah, because I'm concerned. I can't remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday, let alone a password that changes.
I know.
Often.
Sometimes it's hard to keep track of it.
But some of those tools, I got to work up on them myself. But okay? As I said before we came forward, it seems like someone's always listening. Are our phones, our devices, our TVs, or anything with a microphone, is it always on and always transmitting what we say?
It all depends on the setting on those devices.
Mm.
And each of those devices, I mean, these are regulated. Our country and our government has looked into ways of making sure, as the industries are putting out various devices, when it comes to the privacy and when it comes to surveillance threat, there are some regulations in place. And some of the states have even taken those regulations beyond the federal regulations and added additional. In fact, California is one of the ones that has done a ton of work from a privacy standpoint. So it's important how we set up our devices so that we can prevent anyone from surveilling our devices and our homes' computing devices. But we have to educate ourselves on how to do that. You know, I got to tell you something interesting. When people sometimes when they get internet services at home, they don't even bother changing the default password that comes with the service. They just leave it as is.
Mm.
And sometimes that password causes major problem because it can be easily discovered. And because it's a standard password, it's in multiple locations. So one way of really making sure that we prevent these types of attacks on ourselves is to make sure our passwords are strong, our settings are appropriate, our privacy settings is properly set on any device that we have in our home. Or obviously, when you're at work, you get the service from your corporation and your work systems. But at home, we just need to educate ourselves. And there's a ton of material online that you could take on to educate yourself.
Well, when we come forward, I had folks can see on YouTube, I had so many questions that I wanted to ask you. But one particular, when we come forward, I want to get a better understanding with this remaining amount of time that we have with you. And I appreciate you taking time this morning, is social media, and a lot of people not understanding that once you send it, it's no longer yours. But we'll continue this conversation with a good doctor, Sefared, who's a cybersecurity expert and as well as a professor of Middle East at the University of Baltimore, only on KBLA Talk 1580. We got your black.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431, and give us your answer. The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
KBLA Talk 1580, James Farr in for Dominic DiPrima on the Conversation Live, and that's a radio thing. I put myself in my show, but this is first things first, and I'm joined this morning by Dr. Sarah Fred, who's a cybersecurity expert. Doc, in the last minute that we have, I'm hard up on the clock right now, but I wanted to see if you can answer as quickly as possible this idea of once you post things on social media, it no longer belongs to you. And then if you could also tell folks how to reach out to you in this final minute that we have.
Yeah, I think it's important to be mindful of what you post. It's important to understand what is the retention policy of that information by the outlet that you're posting to. And I think ultimately we just need to be mindful of what we post, where we post it, and who's going to take advantage of what we post against us in the future. You know, the young generation is very post happy and click happy, unfortunately, because they trust whatever is online more than the previous generation. But we just need to really make the cyberspace safe for all of us. And if we want to get into a dialogue online, we just need to be mindful, we need to be polite, and we need to make sure that are we participating in a meaningful discussion or a misinformation or the influence campaign that's been set up by someone else. And once you post it, it's out there, and there are ways to get it back, but unfortunately, it takes a lot of legal effort to get that information
the damage
back.
Done. How can people? How can they reach out to you? And we got about 30 seconds before we gotta get out of here.
Absolutely, I'm on LinkedIn. Would love to hear from folks on LinkedIn. Just look me up, and look forward to be back on your show again.
Doc, I appreciate you taking time this morning. When we come forward, my colleague, Dr. Nicordelai Corte, is going to help us make sense of a lot of the chaos. Only on KBLA Talk 1580, we got your black.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. The Oklahoma City Thunder are NBA champions for the first time, beating the Indiana Pacers 103-91 in Game 7. Finals MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander led with 29 points and 12 assists.
Feels amazing. So much weight off my shoulders.